Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about how to survive the first few weeks of being a new denture wearer. A lot of you have commented and said that you are already in those first few weeks. A lot of you have appointments that are scheduled. You want to know how to be prepared, what to expect. It can be daunting, a little overwhelming. So I'm going to give you some tips to help you kind of have a little bit smoother of a transition through those first couple of weeks, which are known to be a little bit challenging. This video is sponsored by Ivoclar Vivadent. If you don't know who they are a dental manufacturing company that produces a lot of the products that dental professionals use to treat people like us. And so if you want to learn more about their company, check out the link in the description box below. It's www.morethanAdenture.com. Okay, so the first thing is going to sound like a no-brainer, but just like bear with me, okay? You have to keep open communication with your dentist. You have to pay attention to everything that they're telling you. And that seems pretty straightforward, but you'd be surprised at how difficult that is, especially if you are emotional about all of this. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example. I knew that all of my teeth had to go. I knew how bad they were, and I literally set up my appointment with my dentist to do that, to have them removed and get dentures. But there's something about hearing it validated by somebody else, like hearing somebody else tell you this is what needs to happen, that it just triggered me. You know, I broke down, I started crying. It was overwhelming. It was very difficult for me to focus on what he was telling me, like instructions, what to expect, what the next steps were. I shut down, you know, all of those emotions that, you know, I felt like I had control of, just it all welled up and it exploded. Okay, so heads up, it could be challenging, but it's so important. You can do a Google search, right? You can get on these denture communities and whatnot and share tips and tricks with others. You can watch my videos, but when it comes down to it, everybody's situation could have slight variations. You know what I mean? Like your case might be different than what mine was. And sometimes the dentist is going to give you very specific information that pertains only to you. So you have to be ready to hear that, because that's what's going to make sure that you are following the aftercare instructions exactly like you're supposed to, that you know what you're walking into. And I'm talking about like refund policy, what to do, you know, if the dentures start causing a lot of pain, if other issues arise. These are things that they kind of give you a heads up on when you go to your consultation, when you go to those first few appointments. So you have to be in, you know, the mental state to understand and take those instructions, take that information and remember it. And so one of the things that you can do to make that easier is just use your phone. I know it might seem awkward just whipping your phone out while the dentist is talking and just sitting there, you know, typing on your phone and your little text pad or whatever. But if you set the expectation up initially, like when you go in there and you introduce yourself to them, or, you know, whatever appointment you have coming up, be straight up about it. Just say, hey, this is very overwhelming for me. I want to make sure that I'm following instructions. And so I hope you don't mind. I've got my phone here and I'm just going to be jotting down some notes as you talk, just so that I remember, just so that I don't forget. They might actually like the fact that you are a patient that wants to stay on top of things. And so don't feel embarrassed if that's something that you have to do. Another thing that you can do, if it's too overwhelming for you to even focus on that, is ask ahead of time if you can bring somebody with you to the appointment and explain it to them. Explain to whoever you bring with you that, you know, the dentist is going to be giving me some instructions and information that's really important for me to know, but I'm worried that this is going to be overwhelming for me. I can't stress to you how important it is for you to get that information that they are giving to you, because it is critical to your success in those first couple of weeks. Another thing that you might want to ask up front before you get your extractions is who are you going to call in the event of, you know, not an emergency, not something that would require a hospital visit, but what if you encounter an issue, you know, after hours and you don't know what to do about it? Do they have an after hours line that you can call? The next thing you want to do is to make sure that you are fully aware of what the pain management plan is going to be for you. After the extractions, I was managing pain with 800 milligram ibuprofen, and that worked just fine for me. But you should ask in advance, like, hey, what kind of medicine am I going to be taking afterwards? And what should I do if it doesn't work? What should I do if this medication is not alleviating pain? Like, the more information you have before you go into it, the easier it's gonna be when you're coming out on the other side. Another thing that you need to be aware of is that you might have some swelling. It really depends on, all of the work that you need done at the time of extraction. Some people swell a lot, some people have very minimal swelling. But typically a dentist is going to tell you to put, ice packs on your face, stay on top of that to prevent the swelling. And then there's other things that you can do to manage like extreme swelling. And so that goes back to having that open line of communication with your dentist should you experience swelling. The next thing that you need to be aware of is that your diet is going to be different. It's going to be altered during those first couple of weeks. Day one, I think that I maybe had ice cream. I don't know. I went to sleep. I slept most of the day. I know within those first few days though, I was eating very, very soft foods. I didn't have that much of an appetite. So, pudding cups, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. Definitely in the first week, I was transitioning over to eggs, overcooked vegetables, overdone pasta, to make it very soft, very easy to chew. Baked fish is another one that's, pretty easy in those first couple of weeks. Everything's happening at once. You know what I mean? Like, you're healing and then now you've got dentures in your mouth. It's a totally different ball game. You know what I mean? And so for me, I wasn't really prepared for how big the dentures would feel in my mouth. I mean, they felt and looked huge in those first couple of weeks. I just really wasn't anticipating that my dentures would feel like 2 hockey pucks in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that the idea that I wasn't really gonna be able to have a great diet in the beginning was because I thought it would all be about pain. But when the pain subsided and the swelling went down, I didn't realize that the dentures were gonna feel so huge and that I literally couldn't really get a fork in my mouth. You know what I mean? And so that's just a heads up. Like, everything's changing in those first couple of weeks. Try not to overwhelm yourself by going straight for, some challenging, difficult food, but you also don't necessarily have to have a liquid diet. Start small and work your way up. And I have a video coming up in the next couple of weeks on eating with dentures, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And going back to keeping an open line of communication with your dentist, there are things that could pop up that you need to know who to contact in the event that something goes sideways. Dry socket is a thing. Bone shards might pop up, and that could be kind of painful. You need to know how to look for signs of infection and things like that. So again, the more information that you have up front, the easier it's going to be for you afterwards. And keep it all in one place. Keep it in your notes on your phone. Take pictures with your phone of any actual papers that you get, and then just create an album to keep it all in one spot, because you're going to be referring back to that stuff. And you definitely don't want to be scrambling last minute when you're in the middle of a situation trying to get information that they already gave you. Another thing that makes the transition really helpful is when people know what you're going through. And I understand the desire to try to keep it to yourself and tough it out, but especially if you have a job, I personally think it would be helpful for somebody at your job to know if you're not comfortable telling them that you're getting dentures, at least give them a heads up and say, I'm getting major dental work done. I might experience, some degree of pain. There might be some swelling. There might be, issues with speaking. If your job requires you to answer phones, see if somebody could maybe cover your phone shift. If they don't know what you're going through, then they're not going to be able to modify anything and help you out. And I really think it's important that, you do have people that know what you're going through and understand and are willing to help. Definitely let your partner know so that they can provide some support for you too. And then the last thing is to just understand that as difficult as it might feel in those first couple of weeks, that does not last forever. It does pass. If you've ever broken a bone in your life, if you've ever been in a car accident, anything else that kind of disrupts life temporarily, then you probably remember how it felt like it was going to go on forever. But there came a point when you look back and it was all behind you. You're going to be able to get through this like so many of us did. So let me hear from you guys who've already been through this and it's one of those distant memories from you now. Do you remember how you survived those first couple of weeks? If you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what would that advice advice be? Personally, my advice would be like your dentist was not lying to you. He was literally giving you a heads up of everything that was to come and you just weren't listening to him. So anyways, that wraps it up for today's video. Announcement, I usually post on Mondays and Thursdays, right? But we're switching it up. My Thursday videos are going to be on Saturdays now because Thursdays are just not popping for my channel. There's not as many people online on Thursdays as there are Saturdays. So I'm gonna switch it up. I just posted a video this past Saturday about the cost of dentistry. Make sure that you go back and check that out if you haven't seen it already. The next videos that I have coming up on my channel are eating with dentures, eating with implants, can people tell if your teeth are fake, and how to tell your partner you need dentures. So do not forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you get the notifications when I post new content. Again, it's Mondays and Saturdays for now. I will let you know if anything changes, and all of my social links are in the description box below, and I will see you guys again next time, and y'all take care.